All right, day 29. Go for it. I'm ready. I'm ready this time.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Sami.
I'm Erica.
And welcome back to How to 911. This is going to be hopefully our second YouTube video if everything works accordingly. We've had so many technology problems. It's mainly me. I'm not tech savvy. Somehow we managed to get this far.
You're doing more than I am, so
right.
Congrats.
Thanks. Today we are talking about locations for cell phones, which I know is a big thing when people call into 911 where they don't understand the logistics of how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't understand the logistics of how it works. I just know that it doesn't work sometimes. It doesn't work the way we want it to, I guess I should say.
Yeah, it's not 100% accurate.
Right. So we're just gonna dive into that and explain to you guys like how it works on our end, so hopefully better understand and makes you. That's rude. Makes you do this. No, it helps you understand why we ask the things that we do and we need the things that we need, and hopefully you'll be a little bit more patient with us if we don't understand what you're talking about. For example, if you're in a large area, stuff like that. So we're gonna get into it. Wow, we're gonna cover first a little bit of the lingo that we. I should have drank some coffee. Excuse me. A bit of the lingo that we talk about. So when we talk about locations that come in for cell phones, we're mainly going to say we got a phase 1 or a phase 2. A phase 1 basically means we got the hit off of the tower. It's going to show us the tower's address of what your phone is hitting off of. It's not going to at all be accurate of where you actually are. So then when we get a phase 2, which usually that takes about 20 minutes to transmit.
More like 15 to 20 seconds.
Oh my god, I did this last time too. I swear I did this last time too. We're recording this twice. Woo!
That's good, yeah.
I'm so glad Erica's here. I would have just kept running with it.
And everyone like, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's why every 911 call is a half an hour long.
Oh man.
Oh man, no, it takes I'm not even reading the script. I just need 20. I'm so sorry. It takes 20 seconds for an average time. There's times that it comes in right as the phone call, which is really lucky. And then there's times where it takes longer than 20 seconds, or we might not even get a phase 2 at all, which are the unfortunate times where we really need it the most, I feel like it. Usually it's when people are like in the canyon or like in a really bad cell reception where we really need a better triangulated location. But we'll get into that in a second. But those are our lingos. Anything you want to add to that?
No. Okay. So we're gonna talk about FCC a little bit, and we'll discuss requirements a little bit.
Okay. Cool. So something to also know, I think we've also talked about this in previous episodes, but just a reminder since we're talking about it, when phase 2s come into our systems, it's 100 block on a street. So it's not giving us an address at all. If you're out on the street, it's very helpful. Like if you're driving, it's helpful to have like a narrow range, but if you're in an address or if you're at a park, it really doesn't help at all. It helps us narrow down the area, but then we still have to best figure out how to easily get to you. And the fastest way, because that's our whole point of our job, is like we want to get help right to you right then as soon as possible. So yeah, 100 blocks, unless you're magically in that 100 block of the street. Not very helpful. Yeah, right. I have some numbers. I love crunching numbers. Dropped out of college. Crunch numbers.
I love numbers.
Yep. Thanks, Laura, for helping me with this math. Probably like 6 months ago when I made the script. We're just now recording.
Again. But thanks, Laura.
So in 2017, the amount of phase. I'm gonna do the number of 911 calls that we got that were phase 1 and phase 2, and kind of compare and see what it is. So in 2017, we got 5,634 phones that came in as phase 1. Phone calls, 911 phone calls. So I'm not sure how accurate this next number is, because I'm not sure if these phase 2 numbers are ones that eventually turned to phase 2 and started out phase 1, or if they came in as phase 1. I'm pretty sure, because the number is so high, and just from experience of seeing those calls come in, it's probably the phase 2s that started as phase 1s and then came in later as phase 2s. So again, the phase 1 we had for 2017 was 5,634. The number of phase 2s that we had was 24,580. Numbers are so good. So when we do the math on that, thanks to Laura, 18.6% of our phone calls, or 911 phone calls in 2017 were phase 1s, which means we didn't get a location at all but the cell phone tower. And then 81.3% were phase 2s. So that's not really a good number, especially for the ones that like start out as phase 1s. Like how much time did that take for us to get it to phase 2?
Right.
And yeah, all the problems with that.
And I know we talked about it takes 20 seconds for phase 2 to come in, but that doesn't mean that at 20 seconds it comes in.
Right.
Sometimes we have to rebid and ask our phone to
Like force it?
ask our phone to talk to their phone, like, can we please have your location again? So we have to we call it rebidding and seeing if we can get that phase 2 to come in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do it 4 times, and I either won't get it or I'll finally get it, but it takes
a long
it takes
time.
A long time.
Yeah. So then in 2018, we had, I'm just gonna skip the numbers because I'm lazy. I'm not gonna be lazy for you guys, sorry. I did the math, I'm gonna put forth the work, okay? So in 2018, we had 5,811 phase 1 calls, 911s, these are all 911s, so when I say calls, it's all 911. Then we had 24,252 phase 2 911s. So when you put in the math for that, that means that we had 19.3% of our calls were phase 1 and 80.6% of them were phase 2. Which, I don't know if you remember the numbers I said before, but I'm looking at a piece of paper and the paper is telling me that that number is going up for phase 1s and down for phase 2s. It's not very much, like 0.7%, but that's enough to, 0.7% of our calls, we're not getting phase 2s, right, which is not good. And then, also I don't know if that math is correct. Don't quote me on that. So then,
Just Laura.
I know. Hello, Laura, are you listening? I need your help. In 2019, I was going to say 2019. Whoa, future. Just last year, we had a lot more phone calls last year. That's kind of crazy. 7,861 were phase 1s, and then 26,799 of them were phase 2s. That is a lot. That's like almost 4,000 more calls than we had the years before. That's a lot of calls.
That's a lot of calls.
Holy crap. Well, here we are. So that means that 22.6% of our calls were phase 1. Again, I feel like we're going to see an increase regardless because of the number of calls that we had. Like we had an increase in phone calls, we're going to have an increase of numbers. But that brings our phase 2 phone calls to 77.3%. That's below 80. That's not good. That's like a C. Like we're barely passing.
We're solidly passing, but
okay, sure. In the right mind, we're solidly passing.
Right. But last year or the year before that, we were B.
Right.
And now we're C.
So we're probably the student in school that the teacher's probably like, hey, what's going on? Like I see that there's decline. Do you need some help?
Something's going on.
Yeah. Is everything okay at home? Oh gosh. So that's not good that we had more phone calls and we had less of them that gave us an accurate location.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So that's also why we've said before that I just realized the radio's on behind me. And now the volume's all the way down, so I don't know what's going on. Huh. This is awkward. Don't mind me. Hopefully you can't hear that. Hopefully you can't hear me. Just messing up everything.
That's another thing. Just showing what we do. I like that.
I don't know why you talk to me.
And there's your what is it, the thumbnail for?
Oh my god, yes, let's do it. I'll do it. Don't even care. So that's why we would take your word for it when it comes to locations, because as you can see, we don't have very reliable information that's coming in most of the time. I wouldn't say it's not very reliable, but it's not the best.
Right. To get a tower address and then you tell me I don't know where I am, what kind of things, how long is it going to take me to figure out where you are?
Right.
Whereas if I had a phase 2, I could narrow down the street and you could say, I don't know where I am, but if I help you out with, say, are you near East 13th Street or, Sam's Club or something like that, we can narrow it down.
Right. I had a lady call in the other day, just a quick example. She's like, I'm near the park with the soccer fields. And I was like, that's so cool, but there's a lot of parks with soccer fields, and I don't know what you're talking about. And I had gotten a phase 1, so I was like waiting for her to be like, oh, what's that street? What's that street? And I was just like, come on, phase 2.
Yeah.
And phase 2 came in, and I was just like, are you talking about Boyd Lake? Are you talking about Loveland Sports Park? And she's like, oh yeah, that's it. And I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
So another example of like, know your parks, know your streets. But without that phase 2, I probably would have been sitting there like trying to play 20 questions with her to try to figure out where she was at.
Yeah, how did you come into Loveland? What streets did you take? Where did you turn? Yeah.
Yeah.
Know your parks, or at least landmarks.
Right.
Because there's a church near there, there's a school.
There's Mountain View High School, there's like a lot of things near there. There's Eisenhower, everyone knows what Eisenhower's called.
Right.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So that's why we would take your word for it when it comes to location, because we don't always get the best information. But when we do, it's very nice. I'm not going to talk about that. So another problem, a lot of 911s that I get that people don't understand why I don't know where they are. Some people say, well, Uber knows where I am. How do you not know where I am? It's that whole issue of like you're paying for 911 because of your phone service or whatever, but you're really paying Uber. You're not, like you're really paying Uber. And you also signed a contract that said, I agree to give you my exact location per my cell phone. I mean, you didn't sign it, you were just skip through the fine print, right? And then you went, I agree.
I'm sure everyone read it.
Right. Wait,
you don't?
Well, if you didn't, surprise, you agreed to giving them your exact location. And I mean, that's nice for when your Uber driver is like, well, I'm right where your phone says that you are. I don't know who you are, there's 10 people here. I don't know. I've never Ubered. I've lifted. I imagine it's the same thing.
Oh. It's like, oh, that's impressive.
I know. Yeah. So that's one reason why Uber gets more accurate information, because you've agreed to it. It's a little bit more difficult when it comes to technology, because 911's not an app on your phone, it's a phone call, and having to get an exact location that way, I'm not sure what the technology side of that would even entail, of having to work through your GPS while on a phone call. I don't know how that works.
Like on our end?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know we're just accepting text to 911s, I can't imagine.
Right.
I don't know what it entails either.
Right.
It'd be interesting to find out.
And that's like, since you just talked about text to 911, we don't get locations when you text to 911.
Right.
So if you text me, I get a screen that pops up so I can open up a call, but it doesn't give me a phase 1, it doesn't give me a phase 2, it doesn't give me anything. So it is so important if you're texting to 911 to give us the location first. Because if you need help, that's really the only way we can help you.
Right.
Yeah, kind of a big bummer. But, yeah, anything you want to say about the Uber thing? You're smart. Thanks. She's an ENP.
Oh boy, now I feel like I gotta say something.
No one knows what ENP is, so.
I'm not saying. It's Emergency Number Professional through the National Emergency Number Association, which is NENA, one of the 911 organizations. But you're right. What you said about Uber, you're paying them and you want a service from them, so you're willing to pay those fees through Uber when you get picked up, use their service, versus 911, we expect it to be there and it's going to be there. And since 911 is a public utility, we only get the money that comes from people that pay their monthly contracts and if they have landlines. So do you want to pay, it's kind of like insurance. Do you want to pay extra on your cell phone bill to have it? I don't even know if you could guarantee, but Uber's pretty good. They guarantee where you pick up, you know, like
Right.
I'm right here, there's my car. Do you want to pay for a service you may or may not need, but to have a 100% guarantee that I'm going to know where you are when you need something on, unfortunately, possibly the worst day of your life?
Yeah.
When you call 911.
Right.
So pay for something now, or work through it with us when you call, we have an emergency, and don't pay for it.
Right. That's a good point. Of like, do you want to pay more or not? I think last time we recorded, I had said something about like, what if we charged people like for an actual phone call, like for the amount of time that they called? Some of those bills would be kind of pricey because we're out, like if you're out in the county far away and we have a 911 line with you and you're waiting for an ambulance, it could take some time. But again, like it's not like we're not like the ambulance that's like tracking mileage. Where fortunately for you, we're getting paid no matter what. Unfortunately, that service doesn't really. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Exactly. Good job.
Perfect. Thank you.
No, I
edit that. Maybe.
Well, okay. Let's see what we can do.
Let's see where we go from here.
That's right. I understand that if someone calls 911 and we say we're charging you by the minute, but I'm getting your exact location, versus what happens right now where you're paying $1 a month, you know, or
Right.
for on your cell phone bill to pay for us to have us have the capability to have these phones and our radios and things like that, versus the ambulance where they do pay for mileage and when they leave your house to the hospital, everything, is
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Thank you.
You're doing good.
Thank you. My words aren't good.
Words are fun.
So Erica's kind of gonna take over this next part, talking about the FCC, which means
the Federal Communications Commission, and they're the ones that handle all of that cell phone side of things. So years ago, when cell phones were just starting, the FCC was like, cool, you guys gotta, these phase ones, you have to be able to transmit this information to the 911 centers within 6 minutes. So in the 90s, back in the 90s, that's what we were doing. So then when it got to phase 2, they were told that by December 31st of 2005, 95% of a network operator's in-service phones must be location capable. So we should be able to get your phone location. Does that happen soon?
No, I think we just covered in the numbers that that does not happen.
Does not.
And that was 15 years ago that was supposed to be mandated.
So the FCC has to work with the cell phone companies on what they need, when they need, what we need from them, and how long it takes for us to get it. And it doesn't happen. The cell phone companies get fined if they didn't meet those requirements, but I don't know what those fines are, or if they really were truly paid. Yes. Like you can say, I'm gonna fine you, and they're like, okay, but
that's like telling your toddler like, no snacks after dinner if you don't clean up or something.
Right. So they're like, okay, I'll try harder next time. So they're still working on that. And then we're adding in the z-axis. So we have x, y, latitude, longitude, and then a z, so up and down. So where can I find it? Sami and I were on the second floor right now of our building. If we called 911, we wouldn't know that we were on the second floor. So cell phone companies now have to include that third thing, and I don't know how that's going to work, but I think it's good.
I think that's really cool though. If it works correctly,
it'd be great.
It would be so great.
There's just the issue of the earth is not flat. And
oh shoot. I was so baffled. You just bamboozled me. I thought it was flat.
Oh, darn it. So, you can't say that all right, everything's going on the floor. Perfect. Can't say like, okay, great, I know exactly where you are on a z-axis right now because Earth is so you can't. It's more math going into it than would you think it's simple.
Like in an area like Colorado or like anywhere that has like mountains,
right?
And like you go down the street and you're all of a sudden like 10 feet lower than you were before,
exactly.
And it's like, how does I put that stuff in consideration? Way over my head, but it's still really cool if we can get it to work accurately, because I'm sure there's some math whiz out there that's like, oh, not a problem, I could do that in a heartbeat.
Right, and if there is a math whiz that could have 911 have Uber technology and wants to donate it to 911,
help us.
Yeah,
Google.
Yeah, Google,
Apple, Microsoft,
Samsung.
Hey, all the big companies with technology. We need help.
Yeah, just come on over.
Yeah.
Make the technology available.
I think we also talked about this last time. I'm probably gonna stop saying that. But it's unfortunate that these things aren't being followed through with, just because there are people that unfortunately have traumatic things that have happened to them because there wasn't a location, and that sucks for us as well as whoever's involved. But we want so badly to help you, and if we don't get a location, like we just feel so helpless and so discouraged about the system, and we're here because we want the system to work, and when it fails us as well as you, it's not fun.
Right, and helpless is such an accurate word, because we have things at our fingertips and we're trying just as hard as you are. We're trying to help you just as hard as you want to get help from us.
Right.
We're trying.
Right. So yeah, it's not fun when that doesn't work out. And then there's been a lot of families that have, when they lost somebody or something happened that they didn't have a location, they're like, well, why didn't that work? Why doesn't 911 have this? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? And they like rate. I'm so sorry. I don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of bangs. So sorry. But like, why doesn't 911 have this technology? And they like raise an uproar, but like it's like cool for a couple weeks. It's like a fad. But then after a while, they're like, oh well, we move on, I guess is a way to put it.
Yeah.
Which is sad because until it affects somebody who does have the power to change it, I'm afraid it's not going to get changed.
Right. As quickly as we do.
Yeah, quickly. Should I not put that in there? It's my opinion. I'll play it. I just wish that things didn't I just wish that we didn't have to go to have such a bad situation happen in order for change to happen. Like when we see all of these things that are an issue, it just kind of swept under the rug until it becomes a bigger issue.
Right.
Yep. Right. What else do we have to talk about?
I don't know, my paper's on the floor, so.
Do you want to borrow mine?
Sure.
You probably wrote notes on yours, though.
I think we're good.
We talked about the FCC.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Cool. I'm sure you guys noticed that we're in a different area where I feel like this is a cool place to record.
I do too.
Yeah.
This is our equipment.
Yeah, this is our equipment.
In small form, because we're in the training center.
This is our little training center. We kicked our supervisors out so we could record in here today. Thanks, Becky and Carmen. You get to see like all of our monitors and everything like that. Sorry, we had to turn the radios down. Or I had to turn the radios down. I thought I had the volumes down all the way, but yeah, that's it. Do I say what I'm going to do? Okay. So thanks for listening. Subscribe on YouTube if you want to get more videos, as well as just subscribe on whatever you listen to for podcasts. Like us on Facebook at Loveland Emergency Communication Center, and then follow us on Instagram at How2 911 Podcast. If you have any questions about this, we'd be more than happy to look up the answer, because I think this is something that we might have to do a little bit more research if you guys have more questions. So email us your questions to how2 911 at cityofloveland.org. And then next time we're going to be talking about something that's not as fun as this. This was so much fun, right?
Numbers.
I think actually next time we're going to be having a bonus episode in place of one of our episodes. It's a really long episode, and I think it's really fun. So check out the bonus episode, but the next actual PSA, we're going to be talking about empathy fatigue, which is something that happens. It happens in, I feel like, everyday life. Everyone has empathy fatigue, but I feel like it really affects people that deal with the things that we do. A little bit more, not to say that nobody else deals with it at the same amount. Just want to bring awareness to it. So yeah. Just want to make sure that's what I was going to. Yep, that's what we were talking about. I was like, oh shoot. Until then, know where you are, know your phone number, and tell us exactly what happened.